أعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد إن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. No doubt we are living now in a time of fitan and fawda, a lot of drama, a lot of confusion. And as the scholars of the Sunnah and the Salaf used to say before, holding on and clinging on to the Sunnah is najat, it is salvation. And they likened the Sunnah, when practiced and followed properly, they said it was like the ship of Nuh, salawatullah wassalamuhu alayhi, Safina to Nuh. Whoever rides that ship will be saved from the flood. Whoever rides the Sunnah is going to be saved from the fitna, the drama, and the folder. The Sunnah told us that the one who is sitting during the time of the fitna is better than the one who is standing. And the one who is standing is better than the one who is walking. The one who is walking is better than the one who's running. So we have to do our best, try to disengage from the fitna, get behind the people of knowledge, and don't allow yourself to be an imam and one of the people from the mutaqaddimeen. We're living here in America, in the West, so every Amr, every Bakr, every Zayd, especially with this new generation Z, this whole thing about everyone has a right to say what he wants to say. And that's not the deen of al-Islam. The Prophet told us in the authentic Sunnah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that we should take our religion from the scholars, and that the barak and the blessings is with the scholars and is with the elders. And the elders don't just mean someone with a white beard or he's older than everyone, because wallahi, I see some people talking today in Arabic and they are really stark raving mad when you listen to what they're saying. I can give you some names of some famous du'at. They're very famous. They have sha'biyah, and they talk about issues and they talk about people as if they don't know. We all have to prepare to meet Allah Azza wa Jal tomorrow for every statement that we make and for every action that we do. We're going to be questioned about it. So why not be disciplined and hold back? Follow the Sunnah. We're going to suspend our Kitab al-Tawheed dars today. It was a short dars as well. We're going to talk about something that is spreading around right now. It's spreading like wildfire. And that is that the center and the markaz of the Sheikh and the Imam Muhammad Nasr al-Din al-Albani, rahmatullah alayhi rahmatin wasi'ah, has been closed down. It's been shut down there in Jordan. When one of the main students of Sheikh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala died, Sheikh Abu al-Harith Ali al-Halabi, when he died, rahmatullah alayhi, I went online and in public to say what I thought about him, and that is because of the haqq that he has upon me in terms of how I benefited from him. And it's also from the haqq that Imam Al-Albani has on me because what I benefited from him in the way of Allah blessing me to come to a Salafiyah. That when the doors of a Salafiyah opened on me, and I was a new student in Al-Medina, they opened towards me from the jihah in the direction of Jordan. Meaning at that time, many of Sheikh Al-Albani's tapes, they were going out every week, 2 tapes, 3 tapes, sometimes 5 tapes. So back then, non-Muslims and some Muslims as well, whenever some hip-hop CD would drop, whenever some new record would drop, whenever some new pair of sneakers or trainers would come out, a lot of the Shabab, Muslims and non-Muslims during that time, they were harisun, you know, they were really trying to get the new latest hip-hop tape, hip-hop record, hip-hop CD, new sneakers, new trainers. I was in Medina. I was trying to get the latest and the newest tapes of Al-Albani, because prior to going to Medina, I was looking for the truth, but I was all over the place because of Islam in America. I accepted Islam with the American Muslim Mission. Our brothers and sisters used to be with the Nation of Islam, and the people I was with didn't know what they were talking about, and I didn't want to be in that because I had no allegiance to Elijah Muhammad, Warathin Muhammad, Rahmatullah alayhi, or that group. I had no allegiance. I want to know what the Sunnah is. I want to know what real Islam is. And I knew what they were doing wasn't the correct way. The hijab and the way they were teaching and the way they were acting for Juma and things, it seemed like a lot of Christianity was in there. But I'm not saying that they were Christians. I'm not saying that. And I left those people and I found the Jamaat Tabligh. And although the brothers in Jamaat Tabligh seemed to be closer to the Sunnah, it was the same issue, folder. I wasn't learning the religion. I was learning Hizbiyah, and emphasis wasn't being put on, you know, the important things in Islam. So being a person who used to be a Christian, I refused then and I refuse now to just come into Islam and just to be following people. That's not what I'm on. So I went to Medina and Al-Albani started speaking, and I started hearing him and hearing his students and other scholars in Saudi Arabia who were pushing Tawheed and paying attention to the Sunnah and knowledge and going back to the true Miraf and the Mishkat of Al-Islam, the real sources of Islam, not khurafat and shirkiyat and bid'ah. I don't want to worship Allah with that. I don't want to worship Allah, hit myself in blood coming out. I don't want that. Nor do I want to worship Allah by thinking that the sheikh is flying around in the sky with birds and all of that. You know, I don't want that. I want to know the Islam of the Kitab and the Sunnah, just for my fitrah. So let me just get right back to the point. Sheikh Al-Imam Al-Albani, he has a fadl ami. And I thank Allah for opening up the door where I started listening to him, because when the drama and the fitness started hitting the Salafi community in the latter years with this ghulu, I didn't go into that stuff. Alhamdulillah. And that's from the tawfiq of Allah. And that was from the ihsan of Allah upon me. I didn't ever go into that stuff. Does that mean I'm a perfect person? I'm a scholar? Doesn't mean that, but I didn't go into that stuff. I saw it for what it was. And that was, alhamdulillah, because Al-Albani's teachings were easy. The same way as Sheikh Ibn Baz's teachings were. As Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, their teachings were easy. As Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Abbad. That Islam that you can, is easy for the fitrah, just like a baby child. And I think most of us have children. If you have a baby and your baby is born, you put the baby on the breast milk of the mother, the baby naturally is going to drink that milk and it's going to benefit them. But if you take that baby and you put them on the breast milk of a cow, a donkey, a cat, it's going to be problems. It's not natural. And that's how I saw it. That's how I saw it. His dawah was easy. So as a result of that, I feel that it is the right of a Sheikh Al-Albani that I mentioned this today. Very calm and very easy, just to make some quick points. Because the dawah of Masjid al-Sunnah is imtidad. It is imtidad. It is a dawah that is connected to a Sheikh Al-Albani. And that's how the Sunnah was here in Central Florida. When the Sunnah came to Central Florida, we didn't have ghulu and we didn't have shidda. Ghulu and shidda came in after. It came in after, but it wasn't here at that time. People were affected by the dawah of this imam, about this alim, this faqih, this muhaddith. And that doesn't mean that Al-Albani is ma'soom. No, it doesn't mean that we agree and follow every opinion that he has. To this very day, there are brothers who I know in this masjid, I knew them back then. They still do the tahriq with their fingers, and I don't do that tahriq. To this day. And I remember I was giving a class at Masjid Al-Istiqamah, and the brothers were in there, and some people agreed with what I said, and some people didn't agree. And one of the brothers in the class said, I don't agree with that. And to this day, he still does like this, and there's love between us. He never said, you're a deviant. The people of Ghulu came after, and they were taught that if someone doesn't agree with you, or he doesn't agree with your sheikh, you throw him outside of a salafiyah. You throw him off of the sunnah. This was not the dawah of Al-Albani, bin Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, and the scholars way before them from the Salaf. Those three scholars agreed with each other and they disagreed with each other. Anyway, let me get to the point, Ikhwani, about what I want to say. But the motivation behind today's few words, today's ta'liq, is that I feel that as long as I'm alive, inshallah, I'll defend a Sheikh Al-Albani. I won't defend him out of ta'assub and go overboard and say that he's greater than Al-Imam Al-Hafidh, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani, Al-Imam Al-Suyut. I'm not going to say that. But for our time, a lot of times, he's one of the greatest scholars, and he was a ni'mah from Allah for the people now. And all you got to do is look at the Islamic library and all of the khidmah that he did for the Sunnah. Ala kullin. The government of Jordan sent out an official letter that the center of Al-Imam Al-Albani should be shut down. And they made an accusation, the government, without bringing any proof whatsoever. And the accusation against the teachers in that markaz, in that center, they were teaching and spreading ideas and teaching things that did not harmonize and coincide with the Islam that the Muslims are upon. They didn't present a single dalil. It's just a tuhma, an accusation. It's like the iddi'ayat. You know, what is that again? Claim. And anyone who makes a claim and he doesn't support that claim with dalil, it's nothing but a claim. And that's why we're told to say to Ahlul Kitab, what? When they make claims, they're the sons of Allah. Their religion is the best religion. They are the Sha'b of Allah, the chosen people. Allah told us to say to them, Hatu burhanakum. Show us your proof if you tell them the truth. So the government said those things. And in reality, that center is teaching people al-Islam, the aqeedah of the Salaf, who Allah is, who Allah isn't. So it appears, and Allah knows best, I'm not making a jazm. I'm not saying this is what happened, but it seems to be what the case is. It seems to be that in Asham, Palestine included, in Asham, Islam in Asham has a lot of Sufism in it and a lot of the dawah of the Asha'ira. And the dawah of the Asha'ira is a problem. And the adawa, the enmity and animosity of the Asha'ira, even here in America, African Americans, I know in Atlantic City, and other than that, these brothers are really, really just really, it's really a shame. But anyway, it appears that some of these groups have gotten in the ear of the responsible people of Jordan, and this is why this thing has happened. And I have to make this point, because this is part of why I'm saying what I'm saying as an ibra for those people who hear my voice. And that is, Ya ma'ashar as-Salafiyin. As-Salafi is the truth. It is al-Islam al-Musaffa. It's real, pure Islam. But in this masjid in that masjid, this masjid, that masjid, and that masjid of Salafis, if we don't wake up and make a tadaruk of the khutura, the danger of what's going on, our dawah is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. there are a lot of real enemies against a Salafiyah. So if I fight you, and I fight you, and I fight you, and I fight you, and we're fighting each other because your brand of Salafiyah and your Hizb and his, all will do is continue to get weak, and we have people who are enemies, who are interior and exterior against our dawah. Now, I know some people who don't like anything about me will take my words and say, he's inviting everybody to unite. Am I saying that? I'm not saying that. I'm saying we unite on the principles of the deen, like it used to be during the time of Sheikh Al-Albani and Ibn Baz. Ibn Baz was a Hanbali scholar. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen was Hanbali. They had madhabs. Al-Albani was on no madhab. He was not on no madhab. All you have to do is read the introduction of Sifatul Salat al-Nabi, and you'll see how he showed what the imams of the madhab said about sticking tenaciously to the madhab. But he never made inkar on them because they followed the madhab in the intelligent way as a maslak to make the wasul and to arrive to the truth. Not like today. The madhab is your deen. The imam of the madhab is above Rasulillah. Not like that. They got along with each other, although they had ikhtilaf. And that's what we have to learn how to do. The adab and the etiquette of ikhtilaf. So it appears that some of these people have gotten into the ear of the responsible people of Jordan, and they close the markaz down. And that's a musibah. It's a musibah. Just like a Sheikh Ali Al-Halabi. I remember Sheikh Ali Al-Halabi used to travel the globe. He was a globe trotter. He would travel the globe. He was writing books. He was refuting the people of ghulu, the people of jihad and takfir. He was refuting all kinds of deviation. He was writing. He was a well-balanced, well-versed, read man. And then people of the Sunnah came and started fighting him. It was dhulm. It's oppression. He was for our dawah, someone who's helping. And he's helping, and he's helping, and he's helping. And the people came and fought against the man. Something is wrong. Ala kullin, this is what I wanted to mention about that. First thing, when are we going to wake up with this stuff? Every masjid is happy with what it has. Every group is happy with what it's having. And people are playing games with the dawah and making criticism and dividing people unnecessarily. It's not right. It's not something that's right. So I wanted to mention to you, brothers, something that's really important. And that is, we are here in America. And in America, those people who are leading us, those people, it's a non-Muslim country, and we're in this country and we have to follow the law. We can't break the law. We don't follow those things that are haram and they're against what Allah has legislated. We have to practice our religion. People tell us to make shirk. We're not going to listen to them. Tell us that we can't, pray. We're not going to listen to them. The Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's no obedience. La ta'a lil makhluq fi ma'asiyat al-khaliq. You do not disobey. You don't obey anybody when it entails disobeying Allah. Now listen, Jordan, there's something going on in Jordan. Why am I talking about it right now? Because it's connected to our dawah. It's connected to us as people in many ways. First thing that I want to mention, and this is not political. This is not political. It's about the minhaj as-salaf. First thing I want to mention is, in our religion, we have to understand, as Salafis, we have to understand that there's a principle in as-Salafiyya that we have to buy into it. We have to get our heads around it because it has proofs connected to it. And that is, from the usul of as-Salafiyya is, we as Muslims, we have to listen to and we have to obey the Muslim ruler who is over us. We have to obey him when we are active and we have energy, and when we're tired and we don't have energy. and what we like in what he's saying and what we dislike in what he's saying. He says, close down the masjid. Close it down. We don't like what he's saying. Or close down that markaz. We don't like it. There's a curfew. You can't pray Maghrib Isha in the masjid because of curfew. We as Muslims have to listen to that. We don't like it, but we have to listen to it. He has a reason for saying that. It doesn't mean we agree with that, but we have to listen to it. And if he chooses to give preference to people over us, like his sons, his relatives, his people, he chooses them over you and me, over the people who are practicing. We can't make khuruj on that man. A khuruj is when you revolt against the leader. In Morocco, we have Moroccans in our community. We have Moroccans in our community. And I don't know if all of you know, but the Moroccans know that. So people were demonstrating the other day about things that the Shab, the people in the country, they don't like. High prices, the schools, you got to pay for them, the hospitals, you got to pay for them, corruption. The people don't like what's going on. So the people in Morocco started demonstrating. And there were some people from the youngsters who were demonstrating who wanted to go into one of the jails or whatever and get some arms, and they were shot dead. And that instability, Islam is not for that. So I'm not here to talk about Morocco. I'm here to make a point. All of this stuff is connected and intertwined. If I'm from Morocco, I have to tell the people that I'm connected to in Morocco, don't do that. Don't demonstrate like that. Don't make civil unrest that when you saw in the past, the Arabs were doing that in their country. This does not help Islam. Doesn't help it. So to make khuruj against the leader, like the leader of Jordan said something, you got to do what he said in this issue. You have to close it down. You have to close it down. And I have to mention this because it happened recently as well. When the United Nations had their meeting recently, the leader of Jordan was one of the people who spoke, and in my opinion, he gave one of the strongest talks at that place. His talk was in English. It was succinct. His English pronunciation was, but in the background, I don't agree with everything that man is doing in the background. His kalam was one thing, but his politics are another, like all of the Muslim countries. The kalam. But his kalam was strong. And I asked the brothers, because this is a fact. The people of Jordan, they appreciate their leader because they have stability. And when there's no stability in the land, it's going to be a problem. And that's why here in America, in this democratic America, there are people who are up in arms with the National Guard being used and politicized to do the bidding of the president and his party, because it's a problem when you don't have stability. But let me get to the point, all right? So we don't make khuruj, and not only do we not make khuruj, we don't make tahyij. We don't, we don't agitate. We don't agitate the people against the leader. Like in this masjid, we have a shura, we have a director, we have an imam. We can't afford someone walking around saying, let's overthrow the masjid. Alhamdulillah, we don't have that. That's against the religion. But on a higher level is the leader. You can't entice and agitate. How do you agitate? I'm the imam, I get on the minbar and I start talking against the leader and telling the people, he's no good. And I do that? I shouldn't do that. It's not right. Because it's going to compromise the stability of al-Islam. And when that happens, it's going to hurt the people. Now listen to me. Listen. During the time of Al-Imam Ahmed wrote the book, and we did it in this masjid. And that book is called Usul Sunnah, the fundamentals of the Sunnah, the things we have to know that are from the fundamentals of a Salafiyah. The Quran is the kalam of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal's the Prophet's companions are the best of this ummah. Abu Bakr is number 1, Umar number 2, Uthman 3, Ali is 4. May Allah be pleased with them. From the usul of the Sunnah is that the text goes before your intellect. From the asul of the sunnah is we have to believe that the Quran is the kalam of Allah, that there's a mizan, the Mahdi, all of those issues. And Imam Ahmed brought this issue, this one point, that we don't make khuruj against the leader. All of those imams who wrote books like that brought this. Why? Who are the people, I'm asking you, what's the group of Muslims who see the permissibility of making khuruj against the leader? What are they called? The Khawarij. The Khawarij are the ones who fight against the leaders. They make takfir of the leader, they pull the sword out, and then there's civil strife, civil war, and there's bloodshed. And when you look at Gaza and that destruction, in the past, things like that happened between the Muslims because of the people who made khuruj against the Imam. So we don't do that. We don't do that. During the time of Imam Ahmed, and I'm just using him as an example, there were two leaders during his time. One's name was Al-Wathiq, and his name was Al-Ma'mun. Both of them believed in the false statement that the Quran is created. And to say that the Quran is created is kufr, is disbelief. I didn't say the one who says that is a kafir, but it is disbelief, because Allah said that the Quran is his speech and the Quran is not created. Now is not the time to go through the dalil for that. That man, both of them, fought against the people of the Sunnah and the Imams of the Sunnah and arrested them and killed them and warned everybody, if you don't say this, we're going to put you in prison, we're going to kill you. And people lost their lives. And many of the scholars say, yes, it's created. Good scholars. They said it's created because they didn't want to get hit and then got in prison. And Imam Ahmed, so it's not created. And he was in prison. And he was punished drastically, dearly. The scholars of where Imam Ahmed came from, where was Imam Ahmed at? What city was he in? He was in al-Baghdad in al-Iraq, a place with drama and fitna. Drama and fitna. The whole Middle East right now is jammed up. Weapons of mass destruction and all of this stuff has jammed up the Arab world, the Muslim world. And Imam Ahmed was there in Baghdad. Listen to me. All of the fuqaha of the Sunnah came together. They had a ittifaq. They all came together. They went to Imam Ahmed to say, what should we do? Should we fight against them? One of them said, his name is Abu al-Harith al-Baghdadi, he said, oh, Abu Abdullahi, there are these people out here, they made khuruj against the leader. What do you think? Should we also join them to fight against them about the issue of the Quran? Want to fight for the Sunnah, want to fight for Islam. Should we also fight with them? And Imam Ahmed made inkar on him and said, no, you shouldn't do that. And he said it's from his words, ad-dima, the blood of the Muslims. If you do that, they're going to fight you and they're going to kill everybody. You people have the hearts of the Muslims with you. They listen to you. You're the scholars, the fuqaha. You're the religious people. You're connected to them. The leaders are not connected to the people like you. These leaders are going to fight you and them. And you'll be responsible for shedding the blood of this ummah. And Imam Ahmed could have said, I'm a demagogue, a'udhu billah. I'm going to say yes and get me out of prison and fight him. He didn't say that. He was a scholar, man. He cared about the blood of the Muslims. He cared about the folder. And then he said his famous words, and it's important. And Imam Ahmed, he mentioned, rahimahullahu ta'ala, لو علمت أن لي دعوة مستجابة لصرفتها لولي الأمر لأن في صلاحه صلاح الرعية. He said, if Allah gave me a dua, that if I made it, Allah is going to answer that one dua, I will make dua for the leader. Because if Allah rectifies the leader, is going to rectify the people, because the people have to listen to him, and he'll make decisions that are going to help the people. So if he became good, the people became good. He could have said, I'm going to make that dua for me and my family. He'll make a dua to get another wife. He'll make dua that his son gets married. He makes dua for himself to become rich. He said, I'll make that dua for the leader. And that was his understanding of the issue, that we have to listen to those people who have been put in authority. The leader, and also your father, and also the wife has to listen to her husband. People who have authority, we have to listen to them. The police are non-Muslims, but because they uphold the peace, they have guns, the law is with them. Don't give these people a hard time. You have a problem. So the Prophet prohibited us from being in opposition like that. He mentioned in a lot of hadith, but I'll just mention one when he told the people, you have to listen and you have to obey the leader, the Muslim leader. Even if you don't like what he's saying, whether you like it or don't like it, he said, and do not make niza'. وَأَنْ لَا تُنَازِعُ الْأَمْرِ. Don't like fight against him to wrestle from him his power, his leadership. He told us, don't do that. He said, don't fight against him to take his power, except if you see that he's doing clear kufr. If he's doing kufr, then it's wajib for you as Muslim to take that power away if you have the ability, because as Allah Ta'ala mentioned in ayat of the Quran, our wala is for Islam and the Muslims, our bara is from the shirk and the mushrikeen. وَلَنْ يَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَلَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ سَبِيلًا. Allah didn't give you, can't be under the authority of the kafir, but that's a different story. But this is what Al-Imam Ahmed was talking about. So now, to finish this up and to tie it all together, when Al-Imam Ahmed said he would make a dua for the leader, he wasn't talking about the dua that we find today, where the khatib on Friday is making a dua for the leader and he's going overboard and he's saying what is not inside of the leader. The Salaf didn't do that. He's not talking about that, where the people talk about the leaders the way the leaders today can be non-Muslims, like in Syria and places like that. They were non-Muslims, real clear non-Muslims, because they were Nusayris. And the people are making, he wasn't talking about that dua. Dua mubalagha. He wasn't talking about that. He was talking about a real dua for a Muslim leader who may have some good, he has some evil, maybe a lot of evil. They make dua that Allah will rectify him. But going overboard, it's not that. Which brings me to this point right now. And this is really important. We want to warn the brothers about the ghulu that we see today. Ghulu and going overboard and being extreme. Where people who go overboard and they go overboard, they have ghulu in the tashayyur. They go overboard in Ali and Ahl al-Bayt, Hassan, Hussein, Fatima. We have the ghulu of the people of Sufiya. If the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us a hadith that told us not to do the mawlid, we're still going to do the mawlid because we feel he's just making tanazul about his haqq. You're going overboard. So it's a lot of ghulu. The ghulu of whatever. The ghulu of al-jarh with tajrih. You're going overboard. What are you doing? What are you talking about? But we have this ghulu today, the ghulu of listening to and obeying the leaders. It's not what the Salaf were upon. The Salaf of this ummah, they didn't make khuruj against the leader, and they talked about it, said don't do that. But they didn't make it seem as if everything that the leader says is correct. And to obey the leader in everything. And you can't make inkar about what the leader is doing today or doing that time. When I mentioned al-Wathiq and Ma'mun about what they did, saying the Quran was created, and if I were to say that that was kufr, that they were defending and spreading, no one would have a problem with that. because it's yesterday, it's back then. No one's going to have a problem with it because it wasn't right. But if you said today, what these leaders are doing, what they're doing, is not something that helps Islam, that doesn't make you from the Khawarij. Should you get up on the minbar and make that your day then and you always give it? No. It don't make you from the Khawarij. And if someone says something like that, people say you're from the Khawarij, you have ghulu in the leaders. There's a hadith that I want to share with you that the Nabi of Islam, and I'm done, he mentioned this. Now you have to keep in mind that I said what I said earlier about Jordan and about Morocco. Nah, we can't cause the instability of our countries because stability is a ni'mah from Allah. And I won't even get upset, to be honest with you personally. I won't get upset. If there was a Muslim who's an Arab, let's just say Moroccan, If a Moroccan person said, I like our leader because he gives stability, that thing, I love that stability, I wouldn't be upset with that because I know the importance of stability, man. You go to these countries now after the Arab Spring and how things are, nobody in his right mind wants to live like that. So after this recent agreement with Gaza, look at all of the destruction. And look what the Palestinians started doing to each other when they started to say that this is from the group of, I think his name was what? Yasser Abu Shabab is his name. And how the people are hitting each other. And it's just folder. I mean, it's folder. That's how it is. So stability. When there is a leader, it's like the father. When the father is in the house, there's a stability that is there. Especially if he's an on-hands father. But if he's not in the house, as they say, when the cat's away, the mice will play. If he's a father who's on the job, those kids will be calm. That father goes, those kids will deal with the mother in a different way. So listen to me, and I'm going to finish here, inshallah, we make the adhan, about this last hadith. We cannot get the situation conflated. We can't mix it up because there is ghulu going on. Everything that they say, we have to love it. We don't have to love that. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith, telling us about something that was going to happen, and it's happening now. It's been happening for a time. It's from his prophetic hadith sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, verily there are going to come some leaders. Those hadith that talk about a Dajjal, talk about Ya'juj and Ma'juj, talk about, we'll accept those things. This is from the Dala'il al-Nabuwa. It proves he's a Nabi. But in these kinds of hadith, people want to take them and hide them and disregard them. This is from the Mishkat of Nabuwa telling us this is how you're supposed to look at this thing. Not the way you're doing. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, verily there are going to come some leaders who, some of them, you would approve the way they act. And some of them, you will disapprove and you won't like it. What's going on? He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so for the individual who, during that time, he has kiraha. He doesn't like what's being done. It's just in his heart. He doesn't like it. He sees it. He doesn't like the things that are going on in terms of what the leaders are doing and what they're allowing, what they're not allowing. He said, the one who kariha faqad bari'a. The one who dislikes those things is going to be bari'a. He's going to be free of blame, free of censorship. He said, وَمَنْ أَنْكَرَ فَقَدْ سَلِمَ. And the one who says, this is wrong, this is not right, then he's going to be safe. So those are two things. مَنْ كَرِهَ فَقَدْ بَرِئَ. وَمَنْ أَنْكَرَ فَقَدْ سَلِمَ. The one who sees the leaders, he doesn't like what's going on, he's going to be free of blame. And the one who sees it, he makes inkar. Now the inkar, how do you talk about it? Now that has fiqh to it. that has fiqh to it. Inkar doesn't mean Abu Osama as the Khatib and Masjid al-Sunnah in Qasimi in America. I get up on the minbar and every week I'm talking about this leader and that leader and that leader. That's Fawda. Or someone in that country. The leader said to the Khatib in Morocco, you read the khutbah off this paper. The Wazir of the Wazara al-Dakhiliya wrote it. You read it. Read it just how it is. And it's the same khutbah every week. It doesn't go against the deen. He has to read that. But when he reads it, and people are sitting there and they know it's from the minister, he says, I don't like that. He makes inkar. How? He goes to that Khatib in Morocco and said, hey, can you not change that up just a little bit? Some people go to that wazir if they can't get his ear. They say, hey, can you not do this? So to continue the hadith, he mentions sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, walakin man radiya wa taba'a. But the blame would be on the one who follows what those leaders do. He's pleased with what they do and he follows them. He'll be blameworthy. When the companions heard about that, they knew from this hadith that the leaders are going to be doing things that are going to be a problem. So the companions said, Ya Rasulallah, if we meet those leaders at that time, if it happens, Allah nuqatiluhum bisayf, should we not fight those leaders who are doing things that we don't like? He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no, as long as they pray. Because if they're praying and they're taking care of the prayer and they're allowing the prayer and they're building the masjids, even if they close the door after salah, you can't stay in the masjid, no i'tikaf, they close the door, but they're allowing the prayer. So that's a sign that they're Muslims, inshallah. So the point here that I want to bring to this, to your attention and to those who listen with that fitna is, yes, we are in Qasimi. We're in Qasimi. But as I mentioned, we're all connected. And some of the challenges that we have are challenges that are going on all over in America and in Europe, all the way to Africa, all the way to the Muslim world, the Arab world as well. So we stay in the middle and we stay balanced with those leaders. Don't be of the ghulat, any extremists going overboard. The wali al-amr, going overboard. Whatever he says, if he does zina on the shasha, we're just going to not say anything. We're not going to feel anything. We're going to say, no, that's not a good example. There's a da'i, he gave an example, and what he was trying to tell the people, he was trying to make a point. I'm just giving you an example of what he said. This is real, what really happened. It really happened. He had mentioned that he wanted to show how important a tawheed was and how dangerous a shirk was. He said, if there was a man who made shirk with Allah and his dua and this and that, and there was another man who made a lot of sins, and he gave the example. That man makes sins like, and he gave examples. He had relationships with his mother. It's just an example. The mother got pregnant and had a baby. He killed the baby. He drank khamr. He did that. And he died not making shirk. He died making shirk. And he died, he did all, he didn't make shirk. He said, Allah will forgive this one. I understood what he was saying, but that is not a good example for the intellect of the people. It's not a good example. That's not a good example. So I understand the example that the person was making when he said if the leader makes zina on TV and he was drinking khamr and that. I understand the point he was making. He was trying to show how important it is for us not to make khuruj. But with our community and our ummah, when you give those kinds of examples, it causes Salafi people to come across as if we're tone deaf. With this problem in Palestine and Hamas, when you talk about and against Hamas, the way some of these brothers and people are talking against and about Hamas, to the regular people of our ummah, it comes across as if you are pro-Zionist. And he's not pro-Zionist. He has a point of view, but it's not wise, I don't believe, to talk like that. We tell people the reality of Hamas, the reality of these issues, but you still have to have your finger on the pulse of the community, because if you don't, people will look at us as if we're being weird. And that is what a lot of people think. They think Salafi people are the people who are pro hukam in everything. I'm pro hukam. I'm for the leaders of Islam and the Muslims, even if they're not perfect, because I want stability. Stability. But the hadith made it clear. If they're doing things that are wrong, you have to dislike it. And if you have the ability to make inkar, you make inkar. You may make inkar in public. You may make it secret. It depends on who you are and what's going on. So I want to conclude by saying that sometimes in our masjid, I've had the occasion where and when I'll speak about an issue like this, and sometimes people say, why are you talking about that? Because it's connected to what we're going through. It's connected to the people I care about, the people I know, not just in Florida, around the globe. I've been on this dawah and on the scene for a lot of years now, and I've seen a lot. So when I say what I say, there are things that go to people who are not sitting here, who are in a position to slow some of this stuff down because it's unnecessary. It's not necessary. What that leader in Jordan did and other people who are doing in other places, it is giving the regular people an opportunity to make fitna and fasad. So that guy is fighting this one and he's fighting that one, and that's all we're doing. He's on it, he's not on it, he's this, he's that, he's this, that. At some point, something has to be done, something has to be said. And Allah, our Lord, is all-knowing and He is most high. All right, Ikhwani, we're gonna, inshallah. Sheikh, can you make the adhan for us, please? If you brothers have any questions while the adhan is going off, just to save time, inshallah, you can ask your question or give your comment. Hey, tafadhal ya akhi,